The pediatric ward at Chicago Memorial Hospital hummed with the usual chaos of a Friday night. Crying infants, exhausted parents, and nurses running on fumes and lukewarm coffee. Zara Williams had been on her feet for 14 hours straight, her scrubs sticking to her skin, her natural hair pulled back in a messy bun that had given up any pretense of neatness around hour 9. She was supposed to have gone home at 6, but 2 nurses called in sick, and someone had to cover the night shift in the NICU. Her own daughter, 3-month-old Lily, was being watched by her neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, probably screaming her head off by now. Zara's breasts ached with unshed milk, heavy and painful. She'd pumped twice during her shift, but it wasn't enough. Her body knew her baby needed her, and it was rebelling against the separation. "Zara, honey, you look dead on your feet," Nurse Chen said, passing her in the hallway with an armful of clean blankets. "Go take your break. I've got things covered out here." Zara nodded gratefully and headed toward the staff break room, but a sharp wail stopped her in her tracks. She knew that cry, the desperate, hungry shriek of a newborn who'd worked themselves into a state. Her maternal instincts kicked in before her exhausted brain could catch up. Room 304. The door was slightly ajar, and through the gap she could see a baby in a hospital bassinet, face red and scrunched, tiny fists flailing. No parent in sight. Zara's heart clenched. She glanced down the hallway, still empty, and made a decision that would alter the entire trajectory of her life. She slipped into the room and approached the crying infant. A boy, according to the blue blanket. His hospital bracelet read a name she couldn't quite make out in the dim lighting, but that didn't matter. A hungry baby was a hungry baby, and Zara's body was literally overflowing with what he needed. "Shh, sweet boy," she murmured, lifting him carefully. He was smaller than Lily, maybe a week old at most. His cries intensified as she settled into the rocking chair, and without overthinking it, she pulled aside her scrub top and guided him to her breast. The relief was instantaneous. The baby latched with the desperation of the truly starving, and Zara's overfull breasts finally released their burden. She leaned back, closing her eyes, humming the same lullaby she sang to Lily every night. The baby's tiny hand curled against her skin, and despite everything, the exhaustion, the aching feet, the knowledge that she was probably breaking some hospital protocol, Zara felt peace. "You were hungry, weren't you?" she whispered, stroking his soft black hair. "Where's your mama, little one?" She never heard the door open, never sensed the presence until a voice like gravel and silk cut through the quiet. "What the hell are you doing with my son?" Zara's eyes snapped open. A man stood in the doorway, and even in her exhausted state, she registered that he was the most striking person she'd ever seen. Tall, well over 6 feet, with the kind of face that belonged on billboards. Sharp jawline, dark eyes that seemed to see straight through her, black hair styled with precision. His suit probably cost more than her monthly rent, and he wore it like armor, but it was the expression on his face that made her blood run cold. Pure fury, barely contained. Zara looked down at the nursing baby, then across the room where another bassinet sat. Her bassinet, where Lily should be sleeping. Horror crashed over her like a tsunami. "Oh my God, answer me." The man stepped into the room, and Zara noticed 2 other men entering behind him, both built like linebackers in expensive suits. "Why is my son at your breast?" "I thought," Zara's voice cracked. "I'm so sorry, I thought he was my daughter. I'm a nurse here, and I heard crying and I just—" She moved to pull the baby away, but the man's hand shot up. "Don't. You'll upset him." His voice was still hard, but something flickered across his face. He moved closer, and Zara caught the scent of expensive cologne mixed with something darker, more dangerous. "He's almost finished anyway." Zara sat frozen as the stranger studied her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. Up close, she could see a thin scar running along his left cheekbone, barely visible but definitely there. His eyes weren't just dark, they were obsidian, reflecting light, but revealing nothing. The baby finally released her breast, milk-drunk and content. Zara quickly covered herself, her face burning with embarrassment and confusion. She'd just breastfed a complete stranger's child. "I am so incredibly sorry," she said, her voice shaking. "The nurses must have mixed up the bassinets. I just got off a double shift and I wasn't thinking clearly and— What's your name?" He cut her off, reaching for his son with movements that were surprisingly gentle. Zara Williams. Zara." He said it slowly, tasting each syllable. "You're Nigerian." It wasn't a question, but she nodded anyway. "My parents are from Lagos. How did you—" "Your accent. Very subtle, but it's there." He cradled his son against his chest, and the baby curled into him without waking. "My name is Kang Min-ho. This is Jin-woo." He gestured to his son with his chin. "I really am sorry, Mr. Kang, if there's anything I can do." "There is." He pulled out his phone with his free hand, fingers moving across the screen with practiced ease. "Give me your information. Full name, phone number, address." Zara's exhausted brain struggled to process the request. "Why would you need that?" "Because you just fed my son from your body." Min-ho's eyes locked onto hers, and she saw something in them that made her shiver. "In my culture, that creates a bond, a responsibility. I need to ensure you're safe, healthy, that you can continue to provide for your own child." "That's not necessary. It was just an accident." "I don't believe in accidents, Miss Williams." He stepped closer, and she became acutely aware of how small the room suddenly felt. "I believe in fate, and fate brought you to my son tonight for a reason." "That's—" Zara searched for the right word. "Intense." "I'm an intense man." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Your information, please. Don't make me ask again." Something in his tone made it clear this wasn't really a request. Zara's hands trembled as she pulled out her phone and recited her details. Min-ho entered them with one hand, never taking his eyes off her. "You're a nurse here?" he asked. "Yes, pediatric ward, usually day shift, but I'm covering nights this week." "Single mother?" The question was invasive, but Zara found herself answering anyway. "Yes, Lily's father isn't in the picture." Min-ho's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "His loss." He tucked his phone away and adjusted Jin-woo in his arms. "You'll hear from me, Zara Williams. Count on it." "Mr. Kang, I really don't think—" "You gave my son something precious tonight. Your milk, your care, your body's nourishment." He moved toward the door, his guards parting to let him through. "That makes you important to me now, whether you understand it or not." And then he was gone, leaving Zara alone with her racing heart and the growing certainty that her life had just become infinitely more complicated. Zara tried to forget about Kang Min-ho. She really did. But forgetting a man like that was like trying to forget a hurricane after it had torn through your house. Impossible and pointless. The flowers arrived on Monday. 3 dozen black roses in a crystal vase, delivered to the nurse's station with a card that simply read, "For nourishing what matters most, K.M." "Girl, who are these from?" Nurse Chen demanded, practically vibrating with curiosity. "And why black roses? That's some romantic Gothic nonsense right there." Zara had no answer that wouldn't sound insane, so she deflected and threw the card away. But she kept the roses. They were too beautiful to waste. And besides, Lily seemed fascinated by them. The groceries came on Wednesday. Zara came home from her shift to find boxes upon boxes stacked outside her apartment door in the rundown complex on Chicago's South Side. Premium diapers, organic baby formula as backup, toys that looked too expensive for a 3-month-old, and enough food to feed a small army. Mrs. Patterson poked her head out of her apartment across the hall. "Those have been there for an hour, honey." Big Asian fellow in a suit dropped them off. "Tipped me $50 just to make sure nobody took them." She lowered her voice conspiratorially. "He married? Because if not—" "He's nobody," Zara said quickly, dragging the first box inside. "Just someone I met at work." But Min-ho wasn't nobody. He was everywhere. Thursday morning, Zara was at the corner bodega buying coffee when a sleek black Mercedes pulled up to the curb. The window rolled down, and there he was, looking like he'd stepped out of a magazine spread, sunglasses hiding those intense eyes. "Get in," he said simply. Zara looked around the busy street, then back at him. "Excuse me?" "I said get in. I'll drive you to work. I take the bus." "Not anymore, you don't." He gestured to his driver, who immediately got out and opened the back door. "Please, Zara, don't make this difficult." She should have walked away, should have told him to leave her alone. Instead, she found herself sliding into the back seat of the most luxurious car she'd ever been in. Min-ho sat beside her, and the scent of his cologne filled the enclosed space. "This is inappropriate," she said, as the car pulled into traffic. "Define inappropriate." "You sending me gifts, following me. Acting like—" She struggled for the right words. "Like I belong to you or something. You fed my son." He turned to face her fully, removing his sunglasses. In the morning light, his eyes were warmer than she remembered, almost golden around the edges. Do you understand what that means in Korean culture? The significance of it? I know it was an accident that I apologized for. There are no accidents, Zara. Only destiny disguised as coincidence. He leaned back, completely at ease despite her obvious discomfort. Tell me about Lily. The change in subject threw her. What about her? Everything. How old is she? Is she healthy? Does she sleep through the night yet? Against her better judgment, Zara found herself talking about her daughter, about Lily's gummy smiles and the way she'd just discovered her own hands, about the terror of being a first-time mother with no partner, no family nearby, just her and a baby against the world. Minho listened with an intensity that was almost unnerving. He didn't interrupt, didn't offer empty platitudes, he just listened. Jinwoo's mother died during childbirth, he said quietly when she finished. Hemorrhage. The doctors couldn't stop it. His jaw clenched. I held my son for the first time while the woman who gave him life bled out 3 feet away. Minho, I'm so sorry. Don't be. We weren't in love. It was an arrangement that became complicated. He looked out the window at the passing city. But she gave me Jinwoo and I would have given her anything if she'd lived, protected her, provided for her. The unspoken implication hung between them, the same way he was trying to protect and provide for Zara now. This can't continue, Zara said as they pulled up to the hospital. The gifts, the attention. I appreciate the gesture, but I can't accept. You can, and you will. His hand caught hers before she could exit the car. His touch was warm, electric. I take care of what's mine, Zara. I'm not yours. His smile was slow and dangerous. Keep telling yourself that. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. Zara was walking home from the grocery store, Lily strapped to her chest in a carrier, when a black van screeched to a stop beside her. The side door flew open and 2 masked men jumped out. Everything happened in a blur. Rough hands grabbed her arm. A voice with a thick Eastern European accent hissed, "Boss wants to talk to you about your boyfriend." Zara screamed, her arms instinctively wrapping around Lily. "Let go of me." The first gunshot cracked through the air like thunder. The man holding Zara dropped, blood blooming across his chest. The second man reached for a weapon, but more shots rang out. He fell too, his body hitting the pavement with a sickening thud. Zara's knees buckled. Strong arms caught her before she hit the ground, and she looked up into the face of one of Minho's guards, the same man who'd been at the hospital that first night. "You're safe now, Miss Williams," he said in accented English. "The boss is coming." Black SUVs appeared from seemingly nowhere, forming a protective barrier around her, and then Minho was there, his face pale beneath his tan, his hands gentle as he checked her over with shaking fingers. "Did they hurt you?" His voice was raw with barely controlled rage. "Did they touch Lily?" "No, your men. They saved us." Zara was crying now, shock making her body tremble violently. "Who were they?" "Why, Russians. They work for Dmitry Volkov, a man who wants me dead." Minho pulled her against his chest, careful of Lily between them. "This is what I was afraid of. This is why I've been watching you. I don't understand any of this. You don't need to understand." He tilted her face up, forcing her to meet his eyes. "You just need to trust me. Let me protect you properly." Zara looked at the bodies on the ground, at the blood staining the sidewalk, at the men in suits cleaning up a murder scene like it was routine. "What are you?" "I'm the head of the Korean Mafia's Chicago operations," Minho said simply. "And the moment you fed Jinwoo, you became visible to everyone who wants to destroy me." The world tilted. "You're a criminal." "Yes. You kill people, when necessary." Zara should have been horrified, should have run. Instead, all she could think about was that these men had been seconds away from taking her, from hurting Lily, and Minho's people had stopped them. "Come home with me," Minho said quietly. "My estate is secure, protected. No one can touch you there. I can't just leave my apartment." "Why not? What's there that's more important than your daughter's life?" His grip tightened on her shoulders. "They found you once, Zara. They'll find you again. And next time my men might not be close enough." She looked at Lily, sleeping peacefully despite the chaos, oblivious to how close they'd come to disaster. Then she looked at Minho, at the desperation poorly hidden beneath his controlled exterior. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." His smile was triumphant and possessive and terrifying. "Pack quickly. We leave in 30 minutes. As his men secured the scene and his cars surrounded her building, Zara realized with crystal clarity that her life as she knew it was over. Kang Min-ho hadn't just entered her world, he'd consumed it entirely. And the most terrifying part? She wasn't sure she wanted to escape. The estate in Lake Forest was something out of a fantasy. Zara pressed her face against the car window as they drove through iron gates that probably cost more than her entire apartment building. The mansion sprawled across perfectly manicured lawns, all modern architecture and floor-to-ceiling windows that glowed with warm light against the darkening sky. "This is insane," she breathed. "This is home," Min-ho corrected, Jin-woo asleep in his car seat beside him. "You're home now." Inside was even more overwhelming. Marble floors, modern art that had to be worth millions, furniture that looked too expensive to actually sit on. A woman in professional attire appeared immediately, speaking rapid Korean to Min-ho. "Mrs. Hwang will show you to your suite," Min-ho said, switching to English. "The entire west wing is yours. Bedroom, nursery for Lily, private bathroom, everything you need." "A whole wing?" Zara clutched Lily tighter. "That's excessive. It's what I have to offer." He moved closer, and she caught that intoxicating scent again. "If it's not enough, tell me what you need, and I'll provide it." The West Wing was like a luxury apartment. The bedroom had a California king bed covered in cream silk. The bathroom had a tub big enough to swim in, and the nursery made Zara's throat tight with emotion. Someone had set it up perfectly, with a crib that probably cost thousands, and a rocking chair positioned by windows overlooking the gardens. "Mr. Kang arranged everything this afternoon," Mrs. Hwang said in careful English. "He wanted you comfortable." After Mrs. Hwang left, Zara fed Lily and put her down in the new crib. The baby settled immediately, like she somehow knew she was safe here. Zara stood watching her sleep, trying to process the last 24 hours. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. "Come in." Min-ho entered carrying a tray of food, Korean dishes she didn't recognize, but they smelled incredible. "I thought you might be hungry. You don't have to serve me. I want to." He set the tray on a small table near the window. "Sit, eat. You need your strength." The food was amazing, flavors exploding on her tongue with each bite. Min-ho sat across from her, watching with an expression that was almost soft. "Why are you doing this?" Zara asked between bites. "The protection, the gifts, this house. Is it really just because I accidentally fed Jin-woo?" "It started that way," he admitted. "Korean tradition, cultural obligation. But then I got to know you." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "You're strong, Zara. You work double shifts to provide for your daughter. You defend people who make mistakes. You give everything you have to others without asking for anything in return." His voice dropped. "You're extraordinary, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since that night in the hospital." Zara's heart hammered. "Min-ho, I know this is fast. I know my world is dangerous and complicated." He stood, moving to the window. "But I'm a man who sees what he wants and takes it. And I want you, Zara Williams, not just as the woman who fed my son as mine. You can't just claim me like property. Can't I?" He turned to face her, and the look in his eyes made her breath catch. "You're already living in my home, under my protection, accepting my gifts. Tell me how that's different from being mine, because I haven't agreed to any of this." She stood too, anger and fear and something else, something hot and dangerous, mixing in her chest. "You're making decisions about my life without asking me. Would you have come if I asked nicely?" He crossed the room in 3 long strides, stopping so close she had to tilt her head back to see his face. "Would you have accepted my protection if I hadn't forced your hand?" "That's not the point. It's exactly the point." His hand came up, fingers barely touching her cheek. "You're stubborn and independent, and too brave for your own good. If I'd given you a choice, you'd have chosen danger over accepting help from a stranger." His thumb traced her lower lip, and Zara's knees went weak. "I saved your life tonight," Min-ho continued, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "Doesn't that earn me the right to ensure it stays saved? That's not how this works." "Then tell me how it works, Zara." His other hand settled on her waist. "Tell me the rules, and I'll follow them. Because right now all I know is that the thought of you getting hurt makes me want to burn this entire city to the ground." She should pull away, should establish boundaries. Instead, she found herself leaning into his touch, drawn to him like gravity. "This is crazy," she whispered. "Yes," he agreed, Welcome to my world. The kiss happened 3 weeks later. 3 weeks of living in Min-ho's mansion, of shared meals and late-night conversations, of watching him be a devoted father to Jin-woo while treating Lily like she was his own daughter. 3 weeks of building something Zara couldn't name, but couldn't deny. They were in the library, Zara curled up on the leather couch with a book, while Min-ho worked on his laptop nearby. Rain pounded against the windows, and thunder rumbled in the distance. It felt intimate, domestic, dangerous. "Tell me about Nigeria," Min-ho said suddenly, looking up from his screen. "Your home." So she did. She told him about Lagos, about her grandmother's compound, about the smell of jollof rice and the sound of Afro beats. She taught him Yoruba phrases, laughing when he mispronounced them. He taught her Korean in return, his mouth forming the words slowly so she could copy. "I miss my grandmother," Zara admitted. "She died 6 months before Lily was born. She would have loved her. Tell me about her." And she did, losing herself in memories while Min-ho listened like every word was precious. When she finally looked at the clock, she was shocked to see it was past midnight. "I should go to bed," she said, starting to stand. Min-ho's hand caught hers. "Stay, just a little longer." She should have said no. Instead, she settled back against the couch and somehow ended up with her head on his shoulder, his arm around her waist, both of them watching the storm through the windows. "I'm falling for you," he said quietly, in case that wasn't obvious. Zara's heart stopped. "Min-ho, you don't have to say anything. I just wanted you to know." He turned to look at her, and the vulnerability in his eyes stole her breath. "You've made me feel things I didn't think I was capable of anymore. Hope, peace, the desire to be better than I am. You're already better than you think. I'm a criminal, Zara. I've killed men, hurt people, built an empire on fear and violence. You're also a good father, a loyal friend, someone who protects the people he cares about." She reached up to touch his face. "You're not just one thing, Min-ho, none of us are." His hand covered hers, pressing her palm against his cheek. "What are we doing here?" "I don't know," she admitted, "but I don't want to stop." The kiss was inevitable. Min-ho's mouth found hers, gentle at first, questioning. His lips moved against hers slowly, giving her time to pull away. But Zara didn't want to pull away. She wanted more. Her hands tangled in his hair, pulling him closer. He groaned against her mouth, the sound sending heat pooling low in her belly. His tongue traced her lower lip, and she opened for him, tasting whiskey and desire and promise. They kissed like they were drowning, and each other was air. His hands roamed her back, her sides, careful but possessive. She shifted onto his lap and he pulled her close, both of them breathing hard. "Zara," he said against her lips, "if we don't stop now, then don't stop." She kissed his jaw, his neck, tasting salt and that woodsy scent that had become synonymous with safety. "I want this. I want you. You're sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." He stood in one fluid motion, carrying her toward the door. "Your room or mine?" "Yours," she breathed. "I want to wake up in your bed." Min-ho's bedroom was all dark colors and masculine energy, dominated by a huge bed that looked like it could sleep 4 people. He laid her down gently, his eyes dark with desire as he looked at her. "Last chance to change your mind," he said. "Stop talking and kiss me." He did. He kissed her like she was air, and he was suffocating, his hands working her clothes off with surprising gentleness. She helped him with his shirt, running her hands over the muscles beneath, tracing old scars with her fingertips. "You're beautiful," he murmured against her skin. "Perfect." When he finally entered her, they both gasped. This was more than physical. It was souls connecting, 2 people becoming one. He moved slowly at first, giving her time to adjust, his eyes never leaving hers. "I love you." The words slipped out before Zara could stop them. "God help me, I love you." Min-ho's smile was brilliant, transforming his entire face. "Say it again." "I love you, Kang Min-ho." "I love you too, Zara Williams." He kissed her deeply. "My heart, my everything." They made love for hours, learning each other's bodies, finding rhythms that felt like destiny. When Zara finally came apart in his arms, Min-ho followed her over, both of them crying out their love into the darkness. Afterward, wrapped in his arms, Zara felt complete. This was where she belonged, not despite the danger, but because of everything they'd overcome to get here. "Marry me," Min-ho said suddenly. Zara lifted her head to look at him. "What?" Marry me. Make this official. Let me be Lily's father legally. Give me the right to protect you both forever." He cupped her face. "I know it's fast, but I'm sure. I've never been more sure of anything." Zara thought about her life before. The struggle, the loneliness, the fear of raising Lily alone. Then she thought about now. The safety, the love, the family they were building. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I'll marry you." His kiss was claiming, possessive, full of promise. And as dawn broke over Chicago, Zara knew that sometimes the wrong baby leads you to exactly the right place. Sometimes one accidental moment of compassion changes everything. Sometimes a Korean mafia boss falls for a black nurse with nothing to offer but her heart. Sometimes love finds you in the most dangerous places. And sometimes breastfeeding a stranger's baby at 3 a.m. leads you straight to your destiny. O Claude pode cometer erros. Confira sempre as respostas.